Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews and welcome to the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. The Steelers returned to Pittsburgh with a win over the Cincinnati Bengals 44-38. They now sit at 9-3. To break things down before they get ready for another AFC North matchup at home against the Browns, let's welcome in Mike Prisuta of the DVE Morning Show. And this was much needed, to say the least.
Oh, on a lot of levels. Hey, they just needed a win after that Cleveland game, but to get it the way they envisioned, they would have to go get it. Sensing it was going to be a high-scoring game and having that shootout club in your bag, Missi, I think that can resonate beyond just the important win in the standings that game earned for the Steelers.
All right, let's start from the very beginning as we break things down, going through all of the highlights from Sunday at Paycor Stadium against the Bengals, starting in the first quarter. And 10 different guys touched the ball on offense, completions from Russell Wilson, and just starting things off for the Steelers offense. It felt like they were hopefully going to start out strong after the Bengals deferred, but that was not the case. One of the many hits that Calvin Austin took during the game, and at halftime not able to return.
But a little foreshadowing there, pushing the ball down the seam on first down. It was amazing the way the run-pass ratio was so heavily tilted in the pass through most of this game, despite this happening.
Right.
You think this might have scared them off, but it did not.
No, and I think, you know, as you look at the replays, could have been called, could have not been called, but definitely something you don't want to spot, as you said, knowing it would be a shootout. The Bengals 7 points coming from their defense, not from Joe Burrow and company. Yeah,
Gene Steratore on the CBS broadcast said there was, quote, not a lot of contact, but added, quote, I think it's illegal use of the hands. Missi, Gene is the word of God on such things.
I listen to him on the DVE Morning Show every week. I know what time he comes on at, but here we see Pat Freiermuth returning to the scene of the crime. Huge game in Cincinnati last year for 88. And then Najee Harris as well. He needed a little bit of oxygen coming out of this drive.
But the use of that little pass over the middle, and here also the screen game where Najee kind of pulls up and says, had a little too much Thanksgiving, give me a minute. But the passes over the middle, they hit Harris with those. They hit Jaylen Warren. They hit Cordero Patterson. And then here's the touchdown to George Pickens. You know, they throw it over the middle enough and the outside opens up. And there's number 15 showing up, Ben Skoranek, helping Pickens get the edge.
Ben Skoranek, I can attest to, a very popular guy on the Steelers sideline for the way that he played, the grittiness, you know, maybe the unsung hero type things that he did to help that offense.
He is no longer whoever the hell that other gunner was.
Yeah, that's
right. He
right.
is Ben Skoranek.
He is well known. Joe Cool, seeing him get going a little bit as well. A tough season for them. Not so much their offense, their defense, but we've been able to see what Chase Brown has been doing all year.
We have. That said, I'm sure the run defense is not happy, particularly with this play against the base defense. That's a defense designed to stop the run 40 yards to the Steelers' goal line, and he didn't get credit for the touchdown. As you see there, he comes up just a little bit short, but Bengals able to take care of that on the next snap.
Yep, so as we said, still in the first quarter and still, you know, both teams being able to put up points, and something that would foreshadow the game, because this was not how we always say, you know, a stereotypical Steelers-Ravens game where it's always a bizarre score. This one would turn into much more, but there we see Russell Wilson fighting George Pickens once again.
And George Pickens gets himself an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. One of the plays, and there were multiple such plays in this game, which compelled Mike Tomlin to announce afterward, he needs to grow up, and he needs to grow up fast.
No doubt. A lot of his teammates there, you see Roderick Jones trying to cool him down. And, you know, Mike Tomlin, as you said, stated that, along with the fact when you are George Pickens, you're going to have a target on your back. And I think it is well known that DBs can kind of get under his skin.
And here you see Cordero Patterson operating at running back with that really unique running style of his. He does not look like he would be fun to tackle, Missi.
Nope, and I think the Bengals realized that some of their beat writers were tweeting that this is the worst tackling game they've seen for that defense, and that says a lot throughout the season. But moving on to the second quarter, still 14-7, and that was about to change here thanks to Calvin Austin III.
Yeah, great job isolating Austin on Mike Hilton. Steelers well aware of what Hilton can and can't do in the slot, and what a perfect throw by Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you didn't really hear much from Mike Hilton throughout the entire game, probably the first time it feels like in a while.
Bengals come back still running the ball. I'm sure that's going to be a point of emphasis as the Steelers get ready for Cleveland. And then Joe Burrow taking another shot. You knew these were going to be coming all day. And Joey Porter Jr. picking up a penalty flag. Not an unlikely occurrence as this game played out.
Nope, unfortunately not. It was reminiscent of the game against the Commanders in Washington. But nonetheless, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase able to do things, not on this play, but that we are very used to seeing them do.
Here's a red zone play, and the Steelers try a blitz. Burrow able to step up and find Chase in the end zone. Mike Tomlin said at halftime on the CBS broadcast he was unhappy with their control and containment of Burrow, letting him step up and do just that too often in the first half. But I thought they made a nice adjustment, or just played better in the second half. Missi, whatever, it didn't happen with this great frequency.
Yeah, the execution seemed to be more on point and making it more cumbersome for him to do what he likes to do. But Najee Harris finding the end zone as well in this game for the Steelers to tie things
watch
back
the left
up.
side of the line here. You see Washington, Moore, Frazier, Van Jefferson, Mason McCormick on the back side of it, but they just caved in the edge. And Najee Harris, I don't want to say that was an easy run, because none of them are easy, but that was easier than most.
He made it look easy too, you know, there's a difference there. But TJ Watt time, as always. This is still happening in the first half of the game, and then for Preston Smith to recover it. We know TJ's pretty good at getting the football out of quarterbacks' hands.
Yeah, and chasing, right? He went by initially, and then you see him coming from behind, and Burrow's unaware. He thinks he's clear, number 90. Bad thought on his part, and then the mad scramble for the ball. I think they gave Peyton Wilson a recovery there, and then a fumble, and then Preston Smith a recovery.
Okay.
Whatever, it's Steelers ball.
Steelers ball, and that is the most important thing. Get the ball back into Russell Wilson's hands, knowing that you're going to get the ball back to start the second half, but try to do something here at this point.
And there's another screen. We saw a lot more of those than we have recently, and this one results in a Chris Boswell field goal. Boy, every point precious in a game such as this.
No doubt. A 2-minute drill here again to be able to see what's going to happen.
Who won the Penn State tight end competition? Fryermuth or Gesicki?
I think 88 single-handedly took it.
There he is again, and that's a real encouraging sign. You know, they found him a lot last year in Cincinnati. Yeah. They found him a lot this year, and then you see another pass to Warren over the middle, and that leads to a field goal at the end of the half and a 6-point advantage. And
you're glad you have Chris Boswell and what he's able to do. So sitting here 27-21, they're heading into halftime. As you said, Coach Tomlin not happy with the execution for the defense, especially
just keeping Burrow under wraps.
Because you know what he can do.
And they knew, you know, his game, Joe Burrow's game against the Chargers and his second game against the Ravens, he had been remarkable at making plays under duress and escaping and stepping up and extending plays and making you pay. So Mike Tomlin wanted to see a better approach to that aspect of Burrow's game in the second half, and I think Mike Tomlin got what he wanted to see.
All right, let's move over to the third quarter, and as you said, the players knew going into this game it was going to end up being a shootout, and they also knew that Joe Burrow and company have a knack for coming back in the second half as well. But here we see the Steelers, as we said, starting with the ball, and there's Michael Pruitt, one of, we said, 10 guys that got a pass.
And then a beautiful deep ball to George Pickens, but the immaturity rears its head again afterwards. Instead of getting the ball at the 13-yard line after that big play, another 15 yards in the other direction for that, and the Steelers are backed up to the Bengals 28.
This, however, though, as the ref explained,
didn't we talk about this already?
They sure did. It feels like a mom when you repeat yourself a million times, but yeah, it did not get him disqualified. But here's something that you do not typically see from the Steelers special teams. Normally it's the Steelers doing it to other teams, but a blocked field goal, and as you said, it's still a tight game, and those 3 points could have been necessary.
And then there you see, boy, Cam Hayward had another monster game. And, you know, these big splash plays, the turnovers, the sacks. Not this one, not giving up a 3rd and 21. But when you're going to play an offense as combustible as Cincinnati's, you know they're going to get some yards. They're going to make their share of plays. But if you can turn them over or you can limit them to 3, as the Steelers will ultimately do on this drive, it goes a long way toward winning the game. There's a pass to Gesicki that sets them up inside the red zone. And here you see the Steelers getting home and forcing the Bengals to settle for 3.
Yep, that sack by T.J. Watt, he got full credit for it, past Jared Allen for the 3rd most by a player in his first 8 seasons. So since he's settling for the field goal, as things are getting a little bit tighter at this point, just still in the 3rd quarter.
Another run where the left side just caves in the edge, and Najee Harris then cuts it back. He wound up with, I think, 75 rushing yards. It was not a run emphasis kind of game.
But he caught the ball a lot.
He caught the ball a lot. He kept showing up when called upon. Very representative effort for Najee Harris.
No doubt. We saw there was Ben Skoranek. We mentioned him earlier for his blocking, but also able to catch it. And Freiermuth finds the end zone.
Yeah, 2 can play at that step-up game. Russell Wilson did a great job moving by design. And then here he just kind of steps inside Broderick Jones, buys a little extra time, finds Freiermuth. Russell Wilson was active back there, either on design rollouts or just escaping when he had to get the extra time that he needed.
All right, we are heading now to the final quarter of the game. Steelers with a 10-point lead here. Bengals with the ball back.
And on the move, they had some success with their tight ends as well. But Steelers defense making another play. It started with Cam Hayward tipping the ball at the line of scrimmage, and then Dante Jackson, 5th interception of the season.
That's a career high for him. He had 4 his rookie season. That was his career high coming into joining the Steelers, and he has a knack for getting it, and Cam also has a knack for getting his big paw up to bring it down.
Another splash play for the defense a short while later. Another blitz, and this time Herbig gets the ball out, T.J. Watt-like, and Peyton Wilson does the rest.
Yeah, great to see. He had an interception not too long ago. Now he gets a scoop and score. And I think especially with the Steelers offense giving up that pick 6 early, this was kind of erasing it by the Steelers defense being able to score here.
Yeah, of course the Bengals were not finished even though they were down 17. And there you see Cincinnati scoring to cut into the Steelers' advantage. Came down to an onside kick, and Connor Hayward making sure that the Bengals were out of last chances here. Yeah, well, just about. This play was the one that made sure they were out of last chances. Justin Fields on 3rd down with the read option, and don't you love to see that element of it, particularly when it works, Missi?
Right, and I believe that was only the 2nd time you saw him in the game that day compared to how much we saw him in Cleveland, but definitely something defeating for that Bengals defense that had a pretty rough day. That
was the 3rd and 4 from the 40. If that play gets stopped, Cincinnati probably gets the ball back with about a minute left, maybe 50 seconds, but enough time to make things uncomfortable, given that it was only a 6-point gap at that time. But a lot of complimentary football played yesterday. A lot of mistakes made on all 3 phases, but the ability to overcome mistakes and just keep playing, that was also evident throughout, I thought.
Right, especially when you've reached December football. It's an AFC North game. It's on the road. You know what happened in Cleveland. They did not forget about that, and maybe the 9-day, 10-day rest did help them. But what did you learn about the Steelers coming out of this win from Cincinnati?
That they can play shootout type of football if they have to. I think this was the type of offensive game I think people were waiting on. A lot of people in this very building have been waiting on for a long time. And I'm not saying every game is going to look like this. I'm not anticipating every game is going to look like this. But there might be a game, I don't know, January against Buffalo or somebody such as that. You might have to score in the 30s to win it. They're not all going to be AFC North rock fights. We've seen the Steelers quite comfortable in those kind of circumstances. Now we know, hey, if you want to play, what's the old expression in pick up hoops, make it, take it. If you want to run up and down the floor and fire up threes, they can do that as well. I'm real curious to see what happens from now, because I think what you saw yesterday was full trust in the quarterback. And the quarterback responded by delivering faith and playmaking in response to that trust. So does this maybe compel them to put the pedal down a little more than they otherwise might have in these remaining regular season games.
Well, you mentioned, the end of the season, maybe the Bills and in the postseason. What about Christmas Day against the Chiefs?
What about Christmas Day against the Chiefs?
That one could mean an awful lot. Baltimore losing to Philadelphia yesterday. A lot of things taking place just around the league. I know we need to stay in the Steelers schedule and what's happening to the team, but we're allowed
always
to
nice to mention
a
a Ravens loss, I think.
Never hurts anybody.
Fly, Eagles, fly, right? But don't do it again later. They've got that comeback shootout club in their bag. I don't know that people knew that they had that. And so now there doesn't have to be one blueprint to victory for this team. It can kind of take the game as it comes and deal with the circumstances as they are and respond accordingly. That was very encouraging, just beyond righting the ship after Cleveland and the effect it had on the AFC North standings.
And perfect time to now play your 4th straight AFC North game at home when the Browns come back, a little rematch there. And Hard Knocks kicks off this week. So a lot of interesting things I think we're going to hear and see within the division.
Is this going to be on Hard Knocks, do you think?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think we're going to make the cut.
Not even if I do the Fly, Eagles, fly thing again?
I only see a few cameras in here, and I think they all belong to the Steelers.
All ours?
Yeah, I'll keep you posted if I see you, though.
Philly did them a favor yesterday.
Sure did.
It's as if Cleveland never happened, Missy.
Well, it did, and I think they're going to remember that come Sunday at home. But thanks so much for joining us here on the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. For Mike Prisuta and Missi Matthews, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you back here next Monday.